So here's my childhood home, and my parents are starting the process to make the Aliyah.
Oh, no. I have no sound. Can you hear me? Okay,
Now I can.
I
Can you hear
can't.
Eve? No, I can't hear.
I couldn't hear anybody else. I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you guys hear me now? I was on mute. You
Yes.
guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Hi, Carrie. Oh, it's so good that you're here. I'm so excited. We actually have someone new over here on our Zoom. Carrie Ha, nice to see you. And I'll just show you guys what we have over here for you can look around this room. Such a love fest in this space. Okay, so welcome everybody. We're going to do something a little different today because we are gearing up for the high holidays. It's in 1 month, so we have 4 Tuesdays, including today, to get us ready for the high holidays. And there are many different kind of ways of showing up. I was speaking to my friend Carrie yesterday or 2 days ago, and I said, you know, most of us show up for Rosh Hashanah, like how are we prepared? It's like, I made my brisket, you know, like it's the physical preparation that looms so big in our minds that we often don't give enough time, effort, energy into the spiritual work that needs to be done. So this year when we show up, and every year, I mean, it's almost like, you know, the joke about the New Year's resolutions, that every year, January 1st, what happens? Memberships surge in all the gyms, right? You guys just came from the bar method, the cycling studios, right? So January 1st, there's all these great specials. Sign up for Planet Fitness, all the, guess what? People sign up because everyone has good intentions, but they never build any more lockers. They never do, right? Why? It's funny, but that's our nature, right? We mean well. We want to change. We want to create a change. We want to create new habits for the new year, for January 1st, for Rosh Hashanah, for whatever it is. But usually, how long does it take until we're back where we started? I mean, who wants to be honest? She says 2 weeks. I say 1 day. It's literally like Yom Kippur was just like the day before or an hour before, and I'm already like screaming at my kid, when I was 2 hours before, like, clapping my hands over my heart. God, I'm going to be such a good mother this year. I'm going to, and then we just, we're humans. So we have a lot of work to do, and it's really, really hard to change. And our sages tell us that we could spend our entire lives trying to change just one trait. And that would be an amazing life. If we changed one negative trait and flipped it over to a positive trait, our life's work is done. We have, wow, surpassed most people. So change is really, really hard, but good news. The good news is, Elul, this month, auspicious for change. There's extra energy to help us change and grow. And a little change that you do during this month leading up to the high holidays has so much more impact. Like, it goes so much further. So now is really the time to get our head on our shoulders and really be like, we know what we're doing here. Okay, so raise your hand if you know what you're doing here. Nobody is raising their hands. Okay, except you need and okay, maybe Jen. But out of the 50 people here, no one is like, I do. We don't, to be honest. This is our life's work. It really is. And there are times when we feel like we're in control of whatever. There's no control, right? We all the
Sound is bad. We can't hear you.
And we're trying to figure out,
Not good.
what is my mission? So part of our mission, sorry, do you hear me,
No.
Stu? And you guys okay?
No.
Okay.
Bad sound. Or nothing.
Nothing.
Now we've totally lost her too.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
It wasn't great
I can
yesterday.
text
with
Julie
Ally.
and tell her that, that
It's
we
gone
can't hear.
now.
It wasn't great yesterday with Ally, but that was Israel and we had a storm. But it's beautiful today. And
And I'm sending Julie this. Maybe, hopefully she'll see it.
thank you.
Oh, she's going back in.
Okay.
look, it says we're connecting to audio. She's trying to connect to audio.
What?
There was a note that said she's trying
We're
to
having
connect
a
to
little
audio.
bit of internet trouble, but now we should be fixed. Thanks for your patience.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What are we hoping for, but kind of where we get there. So I like that part. Yeah.
Where are you right now? And then how could you make that better? Right? Okay. And thank you. Okay, great. You guys hear me now? We're on.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is good. Julie, maybe don't go so far away. Maybe it's your phone, or maybe leave your phone here. I don't know. Maybe it needs the connection.
Was before.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, we stalled for you guys. Okay, so we might tap into this, and this might also, like this course that we're going to be doing now for hopefully from now until Rosh Hashanah. Okay, we'll see. Maybe we'll do it in 2 weeks, and then we'll move on. We'll move back to regular programming, but it's going to, we need to understand our soul. So there might be a whole exploration of what our soul is, right? Because there's a few things, there's a few words that I'm going to teach you. And if you're taking notes, you might want to write these words down. These are words that you want to be thinking about during this month. So one of them is tafkid. Tafkid is a Hebrew word for your purpose, okay? So that is a very well used, like, what's your purpose? Like your tafkid. Like, what is the purpose of this table? What is the purpose of this notebook, right? Everything has a purpose. But then we take it a little bit deeper and we talk about, this is the word of this whole exploration. It's in Hebrew, it's Yi'ud. Okay, so in Hebrew, it's Yud, Vav, Daled. Maybe there's an ayin in it. I think it's Yud, Vav, Ayin, Daled. Okay, that's in Hebrew, but Yi'ud is Y-E-U-D. Okay, and that is your soul's purpose. So we all have a purpose. We could tap, and maybe your purpose is to be like an activist, like, you know, someone that is you know, an what's the word, like, well, like an activist, like maybe like in the schools, or maybe for healthcare, or, you know, maybe that is your purpose. Maybe that's your job. An advocate, that's the word. Okay, like, you know, maybe it's for your own mother or whatever it is, that you're the one that's making sure that she's okay. And maybe you feel very connected to that mission as your purpose. But then we also need to explore what your soul's purpose is. So that takes a little bit more introspection. Not everyone finds their purpose in life. Most people go through this world not feeling attached to a bigger purpose or a bigger mission. And that is very, very sad, because what happens when you touch your Yi'ud, your soul's mission, or your tafkid, what happens is your whole life has meaning, and you have an energy. Everything has energy around it. And it's almost like this extraordinary energy. It's vitality, right? You know that word vitality, like when you're so alive. So when you're in tune with your purpose, like your deepest soul's mission, you have, it's like oxygen to your soul. It's giving you life. It's giving you vitality. You're so alive. And that's why you meet people at the end of their lives that, as we said a couple weeks ago, that are still green and growing and not brown and dying. And one of the examples we gave in our Parsha class on Saturday is Moses. Until the last day of his life, he was passionate, he was excited, he was on fire for his mission, for getting the Jewish people ready to go into the land of Israel. Even though he wasn't going to go in, he was, until the end of his life, he was like, let me tell you one more time, guys, he was so excited for them, okay? So we want to be those people. And I love this class. I love the combination of different generations that come to this class, and we all learn together, and we learn from each other, and sometimes we have time to share with each other and open up. And I'm just always blown away by the women that are maybe in their 60s, 70s, 80s. I think we have some women in their 80s. I don't know. We don't card you at the door, but we definitely have. It's unbelievable. I'm inspired by you, and I have a feeling, I'm looking at you, that the best is yet to come. Okay. Like, I just have a feeling that, first of all, you're never too old to grow, right? And right, it's so true. It's all in your mind. Age is is it not? She's like, no, it's not. Right. But it's just beautiful that, you know, and maybe you'll find what your youth is still, right? And that would be so exciting if you just uncovered something amazing about yourself. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of mysticism. Some of this work is brought down by the Arizal, who is a Kabbalist from the 1700s, I'm pretty sure. Susie, you're not here, so I can't look. Susie. Usually I'm like, Susie, could you double check that for me? But the Arizal was from, I think he was the Kabbalist from Tzfat, or one of, and I think the 1700s, but okay, there you go. Okay, so this is, I'm going to be quoting some of this work from hundreds of years ago that speaks about this. So the Arizal says that no one could do your journey, okay? So you are a one-time phenomenon. You never were, and you never will be again. You are completely unique, right? Which kind of opens up a little bit of conversation about how many souls are there in the Jewish people. Does anyone want to take a guess? Does anyone have a number? There is a number that doesn't fully make sense to me because there are more Jews than these souls. Does anyone have a number that comes to mind?
600,000.
Susie got it. It's 600,000. You got it right, Susie. Yeah. Okay. 600,000. That's the number. We have it again and again and again in the Torah. We're not sure if it's actually the number or if it's a metaphor. Right, Marilyn?
It is the number, but also
Right.
and it's because souls are shared.
Okay, we're going to be talking about this.
Right.
Okay, that souls are shared. That's something that we tapped in on Sunday, right, Hannah? We spoke a little bit about that, sparks. We spoke about sparks of souls that we share. And we actually, I shared a little bit on Sunday about how one soul could be connected to another soul, not necessarily family, right? We think that we're connected to our bubby, right? We think we're connected to the souls that came before us, but it actually has, it could be a part of a soul, but we share parts of our souls with other people. And it's not only family relations. Sometimes it is friends. Okay, so it says in the Torah that one soul is tied to another soul, nafsho keshuro lenafsho. And when it uses those words, it does talk about a father-son relationship, Abraham and Isaac. It does talk about many family relations, but it also speaks about best friends like David and Yehonatan, right? If you know that relationship, two very, very close friends, and that it says that their souls were tied to each other. So this is actually so beautiful. We could go on a whole tangent for an hour about the power of meeting somebody and feeling an instant bond or a connection that almost makes no sense. It's like, we all know what it's like. I mean, Marnie, you went on this trip to Israel, you didn't know so many people. And, there were these moments where you probably were talking to someone on a bus and you're just like, you're going so deep. Like you've got past like the weather and what schools your kids go to. And all of a sudden you're talking about really deep things with someone that was a complete stranger like 2 days before. Right? So sometimes it almost makes no sense that we could go so deep or find someone that gets us or understands us or we look up to in such a deep, profound way.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Could you have this connection with someone not Jewish? Yeah, some of my husband's best friends are not Jewish. and he has a very deep connection to them. So, and they meditate together. They have their frequencies on what they connect about, right? It wouldn't necessarily be connecting about Judaism, but it could be something else, and it could be so deep in, of course, it could be religion, and it could be something like unity without uniformity. It could be something like, well, first of all, I mean, it could be anything. It really could be anything, because it's two human beings. It doesn't matter what type of human being. Any human being is created in the image of God. Okay, so every single human being has a soul. So that's where we're connecting. That's that level, that frequency that we're going in. It's like going a little bit deeper. Okay, so yes. Any questions?
I was just gonna comment that religion is a human construct, whereas the soul is much deeper and higher than that. And that's why there's absolutely no problem with the soul. It's got nothing to do with, you know, I'm through what religion or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
The soul is the soul.
Yeah.
It's a connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I think we've shared that sometimes we feel more of a connection with people that are deeply religious, that have you know, something, a higher power. We could connect even more than another Jew that might say, oh, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in anything. Right? Like there is something there that we connect to. Yeah. Yeah, let's go back to that. Just, yeah, let's. Left Egypt, okay. I did not know that, but that's amazing. Okay, so I'm going to add to it, and let's. I don't have the answers for why it is that number, and I have read that it is a metaphor. So it's like kind of like it doesn't matter, but we keep having that again and again, that there were 600,000 primal souls in the Jewish people. So now we have the answer to how that makes sense, because right now we have 14 million Jews in the world, right? And there have been periods where we've had many more. So it's because there are sparks of souls that are shared. And that should feel right, because we feel a soul connection to many people, okay? And then there's also 600,000 souls. Okay, this is very, very mystical. I don't get this at all, but I'm just going to tell you. Adam Harishon, first man in the Garden of Eden, we don't understand what he looked like, who he was, like this first man, right, that God created. We've kind of like through the generations, we've shrunken to what we are today, you know, 5 feet, 5'4", you know, 6 feet max. I mean, for Jews, we're all quite short, right? My husband's on the taller side, like 6 feet, like, whoa. But Adam, first man, was created with 600,000 souls within him. Wow. So if God created man, Ha-Adam, the man, the Adam, okay, it's almost like all the souls were combined into this one man. And then we know that God created woman from man, right? Took the rib of Adam, created Eve, right? So clearly we divided the souls, and we've been dividing it down ever since. Okay, so it started with that 600,000. It was one big soul, okay? And now there's another beautiful one. There are 600,000 letters in the Torah. Okay, and this is very, very beautiful. The teachings, the messaging of this, that if there's one soul for every letter, what we know about a Torah scroll, and maybe afterwards, if you guys want, you could go into the synagogue. We have a little synagogue over there, and you could even open the ark and kiss it. Like, that's the best part of being married to a rabbi, that I always have access to the Torah scroll. Like, I could finish a meeting and then go in there and close the door, and just like, I could cry, I could touch the scroll, I could hug it. It's so good. You guys should all try it, okay? You should all marry rabbis, or at least use our Torah scroll. You know, get a little snuggle when you can, okay? But what's so amazing is that if one letter in the Torah scroll is missing, the entire Torah is not valid. It's puzzle. We can't use it, right? We can't, it's incomplete, which teaches us about our mission. If there's 600,000 souls and 600,000 letters, and if one soul is missing, or not doing its part, then we are incomplete. Just like Torah scroll, we can't read it. And I don't know if you guys know about Torah scrolls. Like, do you know how much it costs to write a Torah scroll? Oh, that's cheap already. 50,000 at least. I mean, it could be 60,000. I mean, it's really. When was the last time we had a Torah scroll written here? I think you had one a couple years ago. Yeah. Well, please God, in the next couple years, we will write another Torah scroll, and everyone could write their own letter. But that letter represents you. It represents your unique mission and part in the world. Do you guys know the famous story of Toscanini? Do you guys know the story? No? Okay, I'm gonna botch it. I don't know all the details, but Toscanini, look it up. Okay, you'll actually read the real story, but I'll just say it in a nutshell the way that I remember it. Toscanini was a conductor for an orchestra. And he had done this his whole life. His mind was so brilliant, and it was so in tune with every sound and every instrument and everything. I mean, this was his life. He was a genius. And he once sat with someone to listen to the recording of a symphony that he missed. And the guy said, "Do you mind if I sit with you?" And he said, "Only if you're very quiet. Don't bother me, because I'm deep in concentration when I listen." So when he finishes, he says, "Wow, wasn't that amazing? Did you love it?" And he was so agitated. He said, "No, not at all. It was terrible. It was very disturbing to me." And he said, "What do you mean? It was so gorgeous. It was so magnificent." And he said, "There was one violinist that was absent. And there were 220. There were 220 in the orchestra. And there were, I think, 16 violinists that were part of the orchestra. And this man went and he verified, and one of them called in sick that morning, and he was absent. And to someone that is so in tune with how it's supposed to sound, he knew something was wrong. Something was not right, something was missing, and it bothered him to no end. So this is a true story, but an analogy to God and us. God is the orchestra, the conductor of the orchestra, and God knows what each of us, what our missions are. And when one person is not playing their instrument or doing their part, it's actually devastating to him. God is not happy when something is missing, because he sees us as one people, as one nation, as one world of mankind. He sees that there's things that need to be done. There's parts that people need to step up and do. So that's what we're going to be asking over here. What are we here to do? Who am I? What is my tafkid? How do I figure that out? What is my yi'ud, my soul's purpose? What's my purpose? What's my soul's purpose? How do I figure this out? Because most people that are walking through this world for as many years, 40 years, 80 years, whatever it is, and not knowing that, it's a tragedy. And this is not my words. This is the words of great rabbis. The Slonimer Rebbe is one that speaks a lot about this. And I'll just give you a little quote from him. He says that if someone does not put effort in finding out what their soul's purpose is, their tafkid, and he says that is avoda zara. Does anyone know what avoda zara is? Okay, it's idol worship. That's very, very strong. What does he mean? I know, right? Jen is like, oh my gosh, right? We would never want to be accused of worshiping idols. That's one of the cardinal sins. But he says that if you don't put in effort to figure out what your purpose is, it's like you're serving idols. So look at that term, avodah zara. Avodah means service. Zara means strange. Service that is foreign, service that is strange. It's almost like you're trying to be someone that you're not, right? You know the saying, okay, I'm going to botch the saying. It's like, be you because everyone else is taken, right? So many of us think that we need to be like the next person, and we're not putting in the effort needed to figure out what our unique mission is. Yes, you have a question. Speak up really loud because we have people here on the screen. I love it. Did you guys hear that? That was so cute. Be who you is, because if you ain't who you is who you ain't. I love it. And there are many stories of people coming to, you know, the Hasidic Rebbe's and saying like, how could I be greater? And Hasidic Rebbe's like the Baal Shem Tov, very well-known Chassid, he would say, you know, when you go up to Shemayim, when you go up to the heavens after your life, they're not going to ask you, why were you not Moses? They're going to ask you, why were you not Jen? Why were you not Adrian? Right? We're not comparing ourselves to anyone else. We're comparing ourselves only to ourselves. And really only you know what your greatest strengths and passions and desires are. No one could tell you who you need to be. Right? And also if someone tells you you're going to fight against it, it has to come from you. Okay, so how do we do this? Okay, let's try to give this a little bit of practicality. Okay, so I'm gonna ask everyone to try to think of a time in their life. By the way, could everyone see me sitting down, or no, you guys are good? Okay, and you can hear me? Okay. Think of a time in your life where you had a paradise moment, okay? A moment that stands out. It could be from when you were a child, it could be yesterday. It doesn't matter when it was, it could be such a small moment, but it's a moment that almost has like a halo over it. There's something that shines about this moment. You know what I mean by a halo, not an actual halo, but it just stands out as like, that was an amazing moment. You felt clarity, you felt contentment, right? I know we're all like, look at the faces, like, I don't know, right? Okay, so if you could come up with, it's called a yi'ud moment, this moment of pure bliss. And I'll tell you how you know that you're in that zone. Time, it's almost like time stands still. You could do that thing that you're enjoying doing you could do it forever and ever. You don't get sick of it. You're not looking at your clock. You're not saying, oh my gosh, how long is this going to take? You're so in the zone and you're having so much pleasure in that moment that nothing bothers you at that moment. Okay. So 1, you're experiencing enormous pleasure. 2, it's timeless. You just don't want it to end. And 3, you just have this moment of clarity. Now, if I would, does anyone have a moment that they could think of? Sometimes it takes time. It really evolves, by the way. Figuring out your yi'ud is a journey, and as soon as you get it, you're like, oh, things in my life have changed. And then you need to keep reevaluating. So you have a moment you want to share? You don't have to, but okay, that's fine. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, so we had a special Shabbat lunch at a very, very holy family in Jerusalem. And it's so funny because, I've taken 14 trips to Israel. So I've been at their house so many times, and I cannot tell you how many people have had their moments there. One of them in particular, I know this is kind of like boogie boogie, but one of my ladies from Portland, where we're at the Lesters, she's having her moment, she's sharing, she's such a beautiful, open soul. It's like unbelievable. I'm like, who is this woman? I'm listening to her and she's completely open. Like all the barriers on her heart are like blown away. And then as she's talking about her mom who had just recently passed away, a feather falls down from the ceiling and like lands on her lap. It was like as if like it was just weird, like one of these like, but that's yeah. So you also had a moment where you put your, yeah, I remember that. So it's kind of amazing. So when you have a moment, so that's a moment that we were there for hours and hours. No one wanted to get up to leave, right? We were all so in that zone and felt so like at peace. There was something, right? Gail, I'm seeing Gail is on this call also. Gail, I feel like Gail also had a moment there. I was just looking around and Gail was like, I don't want to leave anytime soon. Like, yeah, totally. We were like in a cocoon over there. So that is, okay, you got it. So that is a moment. So the thing is like, how do you translate that into your life? Like, that was in Jerusalem. That was almost like, it almost felt like an out-of-body experience because it was so different to like what Saturday is like in your home now. It's like, you're like, right, Laura, remember like you came back and you're like, kids, we're having Shabbat, and they're like, what? You know? Right, it's so hard. I mean, even we do Shabbat every week, and still I'm like, okay, kids, you're all going to share what you appreciate about your parents now, and they're like, not happening, you know. So we can't always recreate that experience. So I want you to think a little deeper, okay? Because I want you to, this is going to evolve. I want you to think about a moment in your life, in your everyday life, where you're in the zone. Okay, okay, this is something that we might get, it's confusing because many of us might connect, let's say, to nature, right? A beautiful sunset, right? You're so inspired. You feel so connected to your creator. You're just so overwhelmed. Now that is amazing, but does that mean that is your Yi'ud moment? For some people, yes, but that's it's almost an international, like anyone could connect to the spirituality of a moment like that. So that doesn't mean that that is your unique soul's mission. Do you understand? It's complex. Does anyone have a moment that they could think of where they were in their zone? Okay, Marsha. Okay, different is good. You have to speak up real loud. Wow. It blew you away. So what are you experiencing in that moment? Connection to your dad, connection to God. It's a sense of security that you're, right? It's the security, like a child and a parent, and this understanding and depth and clarity. That's beautiful that you go back to that moment in time as having a halo. That makes complete sense to me. Yeah, that is so beautiful. So the truth is, like, so your example in Israel, a one-time experience, and your example also something that you can't necessarily recreate because your father is gone, and so it's something from your youth, but you could still recreate 3 years old. It's just amazing. That is definitely a Yi'ud moment, and yours is also, Julie. But what I want us to think about is how we could bring Yi'ud into our lives now. Marsha, you don't have your father here in this world now. You could connect to the memory. You could connect to the memory of your trip to Israel. But how do we move that forward into our lives? Okay, so that's kind of what you guys need to think about. I mean, maybe, you know, we're going to bring Chaya Lester back here. She's going to come this year to visit us. And so like you'll reconnect, and maybe that's a good question to ask her. Like, how do we bring some of her energy into our everyday life so that you could have that?
I think you do though, Julie. She's like the first one to check in on everyone and see how they're doing, and you know, you do that.
That's amazing.
Ever. So
That's so beautiful.
yeah.
That's so nice. Hey, Yassi, I didn't know you were here. This is my son, Yassi. Yassi, are you leaving now, or did you want to blow the shofar?
Oh,
You want to try? No? Okay, so if you go home and Abba's home, maybe tell Abba to come to blow it. Okay, so just for you guys to know, so from Rosh Chodesh Elul until Rosh Hashanah, we blow the shofar every day. So I asked my husband, who's at a meeting now, but yeah. Bye, Yassi, love you. There's an app. There's an app for everything. But okay, you'll have to find it. We'll put it at. But hopefully Gadi will come and blow the shofar. He actually just called, but I didn't answer the phone. Yeah.
So when you ask the question,
Okay.
is that possible or no?
So there are many layers to your purpose. There is part of your purpose with your children, part of your purpose with your relationship, your partner, whatever. And then there's your own unique mission. Right now, I'm only touching your own unique mission, but that's so much of ourself is connected to other people that this is actually a very hard exercise. When people ask you, like, what is your mission? People freak out. People literally break into sweats because it's almost like your whole mission is that you are a mother, or you are a wife, or you are an employee, employer, a daughter, whatever it is. It's very hard to peel back everything and look yourself in the mirror and say, who am I? What am I doing here? And that question is the most important question that we need to ask ourselves. Because when we show up in less than a month to Rosh Hashanah, we're asking God to give us another year of life. Now, God is going to want to know, well, what are you going to use that life for? And we don't have the answer. So it's a problem. We're asking for this huge gift from God. And really, it's almost like we don't have our notes together. Like we just don't know. Like, is that the shofar? Yeah. You got it? It's so funny.
Myself and my parents.
That's so funny.
I disrupt classes often.
You are doing a great job with that, Deborah.
I'm
Okay, wait, so just for that little interruption, I'll just explain. So for some of the newcomers, so we blow the shofar every day from the Rosh Chodesh Elul until the high holidays. We'll blow it at the end of Yom Kippur also, like the long Tekiah Gedola. And let's just review, why do we blow the shofar? It's a wake-up call, like it just sounds like that, right? It's literally like wake up. So one, we're all asleep. We are literally sleeping. We're coming out of summer, or we're sleeping. What does that mean? We're sleeping. We're sleeping in our mitzvot, in our observances, in our connection to God. We're all sleeping. I'm also sleeping. We all need to wake up, because as one of the great sages from the Musar movement that we learn every week usually, one of the great sages from hundreds of years ago, what he said in Europe, he said that when Elul came, even the fish in the river were trembling. He said there was this awe and this fear in the air, because if we would understand what this month, the power, the potential, the energy that we could tap in this month, if we understood it, we would be trembling. So the shofar sometimes acts as our voice, because we're still too much asleep, or we're still kind of, I don't know, verschluffen or whatever it is. We're just, so the shofar, that sound, it kind of goes for what we cannot say. Okay. So it's an alarm clock. It's like coronation of the king, like a big trumpet, because Rosh Hashanah is when we crown God as our king. And there's about 10 or 12 other reasons why we blow the shofar. It's the ram's horn. We're evoking the merit of the Akedat Yitzchak, which is the binding of Isaac. God, remember our forefather Abraham, how he tied his only son or his son, right? Not his only son, because he had Ishmael, right? He tied his favorite son, or whatever it is, to the altar, and he was going to sacrifice him. We have part of his DNA. What did you say, Julie? Okay, not favorite, whatever, his son. Okay, either way. Okay, so do you understand? So there are many, many reasons why we blow this shofar, to bring in all that merit, all that wakefulness for this month. Okay, so thank you for mistakenly pressing the button. And we'll
we should be doing it every day.
well, we do it every day. No. Oh, no, because no, you don't. Okay, Sue is saying that we should blow the shofar every single day.
No. I mean, ourselves.
I mean, we are working on ourselves every day. I mean, we at L'Chaim Center, every day we have classes here. People are growing all year, but there's certain energies, Sue, and there's some times of the year that we know that we turn things down. There's sadness in the air. There's sometimes that we ramp it up. There's happiness in the air. We have to honor the different energies. So the energy of Elul is love and connection between us and our Creator. We have to honor that energy, that God is looking to see us doing good and coming towards him. Okay, so this is the best time to be really looking inwards. Who am I? What am I doing? How can I do better? How can I be more of the person that God expects of me? What talents did God give me that I'm not utilizing? A talent that is wasted is a sin. It's a crime. To have a natural inborn talent and not to use it is like slapping God in the face and saying, you don't know better, right? Like, I know better. I don't need to do that. No, a talent is a gift from God. So we really need to think about who we are and what we want to give. Okay, Hannah, you wanted to say something.
So I had a special moment that I can't really translate that in life. But when I was in Israel, Shiloh, Rabbi David gave me my name, Hannah. And just after he did that, somebody blew a shofar way in the distance.
That's amazing. So you feel really connected to, maybe that's your you and moment, right? That wake up call, like a new name and a new you and new energy and essence. Profound moment, right? Yeah, that's so amazing. Okay, so let's get back here because we only have about 10 more minutes. Okay, so the first thing that I asked you to think about is if you have a moment that stands out as being like almost pure bliss, like you were in your zone. So that is really, really important. I'm happy to share my Eid moment, and when I came to it, maybe we'll do that afterwards, okay? But I want to go on with the material. Okay, so that's one. Now, two, I want to ask you guys a question. If you were to inherit $1 billion today, okay? $1 billion, it's yours, Hannah, Mazel tov, enjoy. And you're going to invest it well, okay? You're going to do great with it because some people blow it right away, right? And it's like over and done with, but you've invested it well. You're doing great with it. You've readapted your life to this new reality, okay? Everything is settled. The dust has settled. Now, you have all the money in the world to do whatever you want, and you have 6 hours a day of free time. No chores, no obligations, no nothing, no obstacles in your way. Okay, this is a great question. What would you do? I love you, Hannah. Thank you. Okay, definitely. We'll talk afterwards. But okay. Okay. You're like, show me the money. Show me the money. Okay. So yes, we'll give and we'll think about all that, but forget that. You've already given, you've set up a foundation, your money is being well invested, you're taking care of organizations, you've given your 10% charity, you're good. Now you just have all the money you need to live, all the money you need, $1 billion to do whatever you want, and 6 hours a day of discretionary time. No chores, no responsibilities, okay? What are you going to do? Do you know what you're going to do, Zebra?
1,000%.
Okay, let's hear.
I'm ready for
Wow, you are ready for this.
No idea.
Maybe God's going to give it to you. Let's hear.
I have so many different. Here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna get new people like big names like Oprah and Ever to do we need people to all be on the same page, everybody speaking. Like, why can't everybody, how do I say this?
You want to change the world.
I need to change the world.
You want to change the world. You want to start at the top
World.
and change the people that make change in the world,
Right.
right? Get them on the same table.
With these big names of the world, everybody needs to do the Jewish philosophy though.
Okay.
So we need lots of big names. So
That people will listen to.
that people will listen to that trust from all over the world.
Okay.
From
Okay. I
every
love
different
it.
country.
Okay.
So it's using Jewish philosophy though, was my thought. behind
Wow.
it.
I love it.
So it's what I always said. But it's
Yeah.
and doing the best. Yeah, and stopping the rhetoric.
Right, I love it. Guys, I think we should give like a round of applause. She's actually thought this through, right? Yeah, we want to bring unity. We want to, so we want to create good change. Okay, okay.
Whole world is going to pop.
The whole world is going to pots, guys. You want to be the change you want to see in the world. You want to change things. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I need people who are social media
Gurus, yeah.
but I'm also gonna
Influencers.
donate it, obviously, to every
Yeah. I love it. But what you're saying is you actually want to bring Jewish values to the world.
Yeah.
It's so huge. Yeah, but it's values, morality. I mean, wherever you want to start, whatever you want to call it, that is so beautiful. I'm so impressed. Okay, now let's just open this up for 1 minute. Let's just open this up. Everyone has a mission, a yihud. Okay, now really, really interesting. Sometimes it's you know how sometimes we have a calling and our calling calls us and we're called to greatness or whatever it is. We're called to something, and that's it's a very what?
By the way, always not a problem.
You're called to do that. Okay, so sometimes our yihud brings us, it's like our calling that takes us there, which is a very positive thing. But sometimes it's our greatest challenges that bring us to our yihud. Sometimes it's that child that is born to you that is severely disabled, handicapped, struggling. That child might show you who you are, what you're made of. That child might open your world to, I want to support other children that are struggling. I want to support kids with ADD. I want to support whatever it is. Very often, our yihud is open to us through challenges, through the hardest things we've been through. In fact, no one should ever know this, but God forbid, when someone goes through a tragedy, there's two ways that they could go. They could overcome it, they could rise, or they could wallow. It could be over for them. They can never recuperate. It's totally their, it's their choice. And we would never judge anyone that wouldn't get over their tragedy. It's so sad that they can't get through it, but that's okay. I mean, it's theirs, it's their grief. We don't know, like my very dear friend who lost a child to an overdose recently, she said to me that people don't ask her how she's doing because everyone is so afraid of the answer. So everyone is uncomfortable. Grief, of course. So I know, it's true. And that's actually Gail Bick, who's on this call. She has this great program called Death Over Chocolates. Right, Gail, if you want to say anything, she just unmuted herself. But it's just getting comfortable with death and dying and hard things, like having hard conversations. So what I wanted to say was sometimes it's through the hardships that we find that we really see who we are. Okay, I wanted to say something else, but I lost my, what was I going to say? It could rise. Okay, so very often the people that rise will create, what I wanted to say was my friend that just lost my friend Tony, my very dear friend, who lost her child. She gave me the words because it was so hard. We want to do well by them. We love each other, and how could I help you and support you? So the words that she gave me is, how is your grief today? Because of course she's in grieving mode. I mean, and it might take years, but it's just like, and she could tell me like, it's okay today, or I'm really struggling today. So, but let's say Tony, for example, or another friend of mine, unfortunately, that also lost a child to an overdose, created an organization for such a thing. We have someone coming on our upcoming trip to Israel that just lost a child to an overdose. And she too created an organization. What's it called? Jada's Journey? Jada's Journey. We're going to learn more about that. And it's just unbelievable what we could do, even from a pit of pain, despair, and grief. So I just want to give 1 minute. If anyone has, the question, the billionaire question, okay, just going back to that, and thinking about your life's journey, whether it's from a place of strength, like your yihud, your calling, or a place of pain, what would you want to do if you had $1 billion in 6 hours a day? what organization do you want to be a part of? I mean, L'chaim, that's a given, Chana, but okay. Where do we want to go with this? Okay, does anyone have something? And you know what, Debbie, at the Soul Sister Retreat, I remember you shared so beautifully in Allie's coaching session about, you know, like, and I don't know if you want to speak to that, like, where would you want to put $1 billion and your time? Would it be in helping children? What would it be, Debbie? And you don't need to, but does anyone, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you shared so beautifully last time. Yeah, Laura. Okay. You have time. Mm. Mm. Do you have like, is there something that you're driven towards? Is it, do you find the volunteering to be meaningful work? That's huge. Right. Right. Especially if you have like a deeper frequency with a friend. Yeah, if you share a spark, then it's like magic, right? Right. Wow. Okay. Kind
So my issue is equality.
of.
So I would like people to learn, for example, about other people's religion. Like, I think people should learn about the Muslim religion and the Jewish religion. So that there's that prejudice, because not everybody is a bad person just because they're a different religion.
Okay.
Or men and women.
So you want to be like part of like educating the world, like similar to Deborah. You want to get up on a soapbox. You want everyone to know what you know. Okay. Yes. Okay. So there's so many different, like finding that organization that really, you know, you're impressed with it and you want to put your energy into it and helping other people. Love it. I love it. I wanted to, I worked with a friend of mine from when I lived in Denver, Colorado. I did this with a friend of mine that was struggling to find herself. And should I tell you what she chose? Totally, she like life began at 50 years old for her. She was also just empty nested. Her kids had left the house, and she shared with me that she never felt complete, that she always thought she was going to have another child, but her husband did not want another. They had two, and she always mourned it. She never recovered from it. And there was something that wasn't finished over there. So, you know, she became a baby holder. She spends her days in the hospital. She doesn't need the money. She has lots of time, and she spends six hours a day in the NICU holding newborn babies. It's just like so amazing. Like once you really tap into like, what is it that your soul is wanting? like just being honest. Like it was hard to get the words out. Like when she was sharing, she was crying. It was like there was so much emotion. She needed so much support over this that was kind of like tucked into its little corner, and it was just like left there. She could never process it. And then once we processed it, she was able to actually step into, okay, so she could have that in a different way now. So I made a little list, just like a very little list of different ideas that I've heard over time. I have a friend that devotes her life. This is kind of, not so common. I don't know why this is her. I don't know. It's not mine. But she spends her life redeeming captured people. Okay, that there's actually a mitzvah in the Torah to redeem a captured person. People that are in prison, wrongly accused, people that, all types of situations. And fall trap to like they might have been taken into like the Gaza Strip or whatever, and basically she spends her whole life bringing these girls out. It's a very expensive, dangerous process. And I mean, she's such a simple woman. Like you would never think that this is her thing, but she has devoted her whole life to redeeming people that are stuck. So it's like, it could be holding a baby, and it could be redeeming a captured person. And it could be just volunteering for like challah hugs at the L'chaim Center, which by the way, we totally need volunteers. So there are so many ways. Now, I want to end with a very, very important piece of this all. So I told you a lot of the nice parts. Okay, so you guys know 2 new words. Tafkid is purpose. Yi'ud is your soul's purpose. It's like a whole different level, really, really getting into that kishkas. I asked you to find a Yi'ud moment to think about, like a moment that really, stands out as being like amazing. And also to if you had all the money and time in the world, what would you do? Those are some questions that will put you in the right direction. Now, to end this class, I'm just going to put something very difficult down, and this is a lot of food for thought. There is a duality to every single one of us. We come into this world with a positive purpose. Okay. Now there's another part of us that needs to be looked at. And that is our tikkun, another word. Tikkun means a fixing. It's the challenging part of who you are. Deborah, I'm looking at you. I'm just joking, Deborah. Okay, we all have it. We all have it. And to be honest, this is the hardest part to uncover. You might need someone else to help you or to tell you what your challenge is. This is the most important part. In fact, our sages tell us that when we're trying to figure out what our purpose is, start with the fixing and then work towards positive. So what are some examples? Okay, some of you know what it is, and some of you are not being honest with yourself. Okay, but we all have it. It's so clear, and our whole life's work is to find that trait and uproot it or to change it. Okay, so it's so important, this duality that we come in for. Okay, so yes.
Why is that not the thing that you asked us for? Because I'll bet you every one characteristic of theirs, impatience or anger.
Okay. So the I could have started there, or I could have started there. These are the 2 aspects of who you are. When I say who are you, you have to have both answers. You need to know what your fixing is and what your purpose is. Okay, so I mean, you could start with both. I wanted to start with the positive, but I'm just going to stick in this very important part. But no, the truth is, Marilyn, okay, I said, who knows what your purpose is? No one raised their hand. Let's try this again. Who knows what their fixing is? So the truth is, I mean, there are some hands up, but not the majority of this room. And to be honest, I mean, this is the hardest part, because facing your inadequacy, facing your, I don't know, like your flaws, we're much better at seeing someone else's flaws. So if I would say, okay, everyone buddy up with your best friend in the room, and now everyone say, do you know each other's flaws? Everyone will know each other's flaws. And we know our spouse's flaws, and we know our kids' flaws. Like, we see their flaws. We have to be very wary of this, but we don't always see our own. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some examples, and we're going to end for today. Okay, so tikkun examples could be, but honestly, it's first of all, does anyone have a tikkun example before I give my own?
Yeah.
Judgmental. Okay.
Impatient.
Complaining. Okay, I wonder what the word is for that. It's more like, no, I know that, but I'm saying like I wonder if you see the glass half empty, or it's more like a negativity, right? Okay, so you know, you could have like positive. Okay, so there's always going to be this flip. So judgmental, non-judgmental, negative, positive. What did you say?
Impatient.
Impatient or patient? Indecisive? Is it indecisive? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So indecisive, decisive. What did you say, Dana? Opinionated could be a good thing. You need what, you know, no. I mean, there's the negative and the positive. So what would be, so opinionated, unopinionated, it depends. It depends on the situation, right? You're, in some cases, you need to stand up. You need to speak truth, right? That's a good thing. Okay.
Sometimes people speak the truth with, wasn't quite the right time.
Right. So you have to be discerning. Insensitive, sensitive, judgmental, she said, first one. Yeah, okay. Marsha? Procrastination, and or we zrizut is like alacrity. Like alacrity is the opposite of procrastination. It's like getting things done. Worrier. Okay, what's the opposite of that? Like happy? Like it's like happy. Trusting. Okay. So trusting, like bitachon and emuna, stuff like that, right? Versus untrusting or unfaithful or distrusting. Yes, thank you, English teacher. Okay, yes, any others? Lashon hara, okay. But like, what's the root of that?
Jealousy.
It's jealousy. It really is jealousy. So okay, so let me tell you what, I'm going to add a few that I just jotted down this morning. So I think one of, well, maybe I'm just talking to myself. Okay, control. Okay, control could be the biggest fixing. Like if, I mean, it affects everything. Control freak. Okay, call me a freak. Thanks. Okay, fine. Being overly emotional, right? Your emotions could sometimes take you away.
30 women or more.
Sometimes, like I had a hard conversation with Julie this week. Do you remember Julie? I called you on Friday about something that was going on, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep my emotions out of this. Like that was very healthy. I know. But sometimes, because if I get so in my emotions, I actually can't come across. Sometimes even when I get up to speak, I'm so emotional that I mean, it's just a waste. You might as well just not open your mouth, because, right, it could be a detriment. Okay, your emotions could get you stuck. Ego could get you stuck, right? Where you know, like letting go, making space. Temper, jealousy, stinginess versus giving. Being in a constant state of overwhelm can sometimes that's a fixing, right? And another one that I'm going to put is just like I spoke about being overly emotional, but the opposite is really being emotionally blocked, which I think is the issue at hand in our generation. People like don't feel anything nowadays because we're just so afraid to feel. So these are all just some ideas. These are all things that it could be your life's mission to just fix that one thing, because everything else will flow after that. So I'm going to end here. I think we got a lot done, a lot to think about. So food for thought. I want you guys to think about those questions that I posed, and we'll continue next week. Hopefully next week, Gadi will come and blow the shofar for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The beginning of class.
Bye.
Great class.
Remind everybody that, you know, the Heinz Center runs that. But we also do have a chart. What's all about these- Ask you to come and join us for a month. I can. Charge $18 for a class. We have a little punch card that you can take, and I think your 10th class is free or something. I'll put some of those